Imagine for a second that everything is going perfectly. You're young, you're successful, you just bought your own place, and you're just back from a vacation.
That was Jennifer Kesse in January of 2006.
Exactly. She was 24 years old, living in Orlando, Florida, just got a big promotion to finance manager. I mean, her life was, by all accounts, secure.
The kind of life that just shouldn't be shattered.
But on the morning of January 24th, it was. The routine just, it broke. Jennifer Kesse vanished, somewhere between leaving her brand new condo and getting to work.
Completely vanished. Her car turns up 2 days later, locked, about a mile away.
And the only real clue police had was this piece of surveillance video that is so frustrating, so perfectly useless in a way, it's become the defining image of her entire case.
It's a case that's just full of these contradictions.
Yeah.
You have what looks like a very meticulously planned crime, but then you have just staggering errors in the investigation.
Yeah.
And what's so wild is that a key piece of evidence just sat there untested for almost 20 years. Despite how cold this case was, recent developments have just completely turned it around. It's active again.
So our mission today is to really unpack that chilling timeline. We're going to walk you through her last confirmed hours, minute by minute, and look at the evidence that just, it doesn't make sense when you put it all together.
And we'll get into how her family's sheer determination is what finally led to this potential breakthrough.
Okay, let's dive in.
Jennifer's last confirmed phone call was late on Monday night, January 23rd.
She was home from work. She'd just gotten back to her condo at the Mosaic at Millennia, and she called her boyfriend, Rob Allen.
Yep, at 9:57 p.m. And by all accounts, everything was completely normal.
And that normality is so important, right? Because
Yeah.
Jennifer was known by everyone to be incredibly careful.
Oh, extremely. Cautious, safety conscious. She had a very, very rigid routine.
And it's the ghost of that routine that her family found when they got to her condo the next afternoon.
They found the apartment locked.
Locked. So no sign of a forced entry, no struggle inside. The kitchen was spotless, like sparkling clean. But I think the most heartbreaking detail is the damp towel they found near the shower.
It tells you she was right in the middle of her morning. Jennifer was always a morning shower person. Her contact lenses were out of their case.
She was getting ready for work.
She was. And that tells us that whatever happened to her, it didn't happen inside her condo. The struggle wasn't there.
But what wasn't there is just as telling. When her family looked around, they found her mace, her pepper spray just sitting on a dresser in the foyer.
Right, she had taken it out of her purse for a flight back from St. Croix.
So the fact that it was sitting there, while her keys, her purse, her driver's license, both of her cell phones, all of that was gone. It paints a picture of an interruption, doesn't it?
A sudden one. It suggests she was ambushed right at that moment of transition, leaving the safety of her apartment and heading out into the world. She never even had a chance to grab her daily essentials, let alone that pepper spray.
And her routine tells us the when. She usually left for work between 7:30 and 8:00 in the morning.
That's the window. A
Yeah.
very small, very vulnerable window of time.
So from getting out of the shower to walking that short distance to her car, that's when it all happened.
And then the mystery just gets deeper. 2 days later, Thursday, January 26th.
Her car is found. A black Chevy Malibu, abandoned in another apartment complex, Huntington-on-the-Green, about a mile away.
And the scene is just strange. For one, the car was locked. That's not typical for a carjacking where someone just dumps the vehicle and runs. This was deliberate.
And inside?
Inside was even stranger. There were valuables, like a DVD player her boyfriend had just given her, strapped into the back seat, which the family said was unusual. But the rest of the car, it was almost sterile.
What do you mean by sterile?
I mean, it was wiped down, meticulously cleaned. They found only one single latent fingerprint inside the entire car.
Wow. And whose was it?
Jennifer's. Just hers. And one large boot print near the gas pedal. That's it. This points to someone who was organized, methodical, and trying to erase every trace of themselves.
Okay, so this person is careful enough to wipe down the entire interior of a car. But here's where it gets so contradictory. That care did not extend to the outside of the car.
Not at all. It's a total clash of profiles. The police files themselves say detectives saw clear physical evidence of a struggle on the exterior of the vehicle.
A struggle? Like what?
They noted what looked like, and I'm quoting here, someone being pushed across the head of the vehicle. It looked like arms spread out and then dragged back, almost like off the hood.
Wait, so you have a perp who is organized enough to wipe down fingerprints, but messy enough to leave giant drag marks from a violent struggle on the hood. How do you reconcile those two things?
It's the central question. It suggests a couple of possibilities. Either the perpetrator completely panicked after the initial ambush went wrong, or maybe the person who struggled with her on the hood wasn't the same person who dropped the car off.
And there was a witness account, right?
There was. A witness later came forward and claimed they saw Kesse's car swerving erratically that morning, right near the exit of her own condo complex. It looked like two people were fighting over the steering wheel.
So if that's true, she was fighting her abductor in the car. That lines up with the struggle on the hood.
And it fills in that 4-hour gap. The abduction happens around 7:30 or 8 a.m., and the car isn't dropped off until noon. That's a long time.
A long, terrifying time. And it suggests the organized person who wiped the car down had 4 hours to subdue her and then methodically try to cover their tracks.
And that brings us to the centerpiece of this entire investigation,
Mhm.
that blurry, agonizingly frustrating video of the person of interest.
The POI. The footage is from Huntington on the Green, where the car was dropped. It shows the person drive in at noon, sit in the car for about 30 seconds, get out, and just walk away.
And they never once look back at the car. It's a remarkably calm exit.
So what can we see? What does this person look like?
Almost nothing, and that's the problem. The figure appears to be wearing light-colored clothing, maybe all white, like a painter's outfit or some kind of workman's uniform. The height estimates have been all over the place. The FBI first said 5'3" to 5'5", but later analysis pushed that up to possibly 5'11".
But the face.
The face is the killer. In every single frame the camera captured, which was one every 3 seconds, the person's face is perfectly blocked by a fence post.
Unbelievable. Every single frame.
Every single one. It's such an incredible stroke of bad luck. They even had NASA try to enhance the images, and nothing.
And this figure in workman's clothes feeds right into the main theory, doesn't it? The worker theory.
It does. Jennifer's complex, the Mosaic at Millennia, was in the middle of this massive renovation, being converted from apartments to condos.
So there were construction crews everywhere. Carpenters, painters, tile installers, just constantly on site.
And critically, some of these workers were actually living in the vacant units within the complex itself.
And Jennifer had talked about this. She wasn't comfortable with it.
Not at all. She told her family and friends they made her uneasy, that they would stop working and just leer at her when she walked to her car. At least 6 other women who lived there reported the exact same thing.
The timing just fits perfectly. These subcontractors would start their day around 7 a.m.
Exactly when Jennifer was leaving for work. It put someone who knew her routine, who was supposed to be there, in the perfect spot for an ambush.
And it wasn't just the workers. The complex itself. The security was a joke.
A complete joke. They advertised it as a secure, gated community, but the entire back of the property was just wide open. And, maybe most chillingly, about a month before Jennifer vanished, a set of master keys to the entire complex was stolen.
So anyone could have had a key to her front door.
Potentially. And this all leads us to why this case went cold for so long. It was just a cascade of errors right from the start.
Her father, Drew Kesse, has been very public about how the Orlando Police Department handled it initially. They basically treated her like a runaway.
She had a fight with her boyfriend. She'll be back. That was the attitude.
And that delay was catastrophic.
Absolutely. By the time they took it seriously, the family and at least 14 other friends had been all through the condo looking for clues.
Contaminating the entire scene.
Completely contaminating it. Any potential trace evidence, any touch DNA, it was likely gone forever. They missed basic investigative steps.
Like what?
Well, they never properly processed the condo itself. The shower drain, for example. A place where you're almost guaranteed to find hair and DNA from her morning routine. It was never checked.
Wow.
They never x-rayed the walls. And at the car, where there were obvious signs of a violent struggle, they only used scent dogs.
Not cadaver dogs.
Right. And that's a huge distinction. Scent dogs track a living person's trail. Cadaver dogs detect human remains. Using only scent dogs, there was a massive tactical error.
And what about the workers? The most likely suspects.
This part is almost unbelievable. The OPD admitted that they only interviewed the English-speaking workers right after she disappeared.
Only the English-speaking ones.
They said they planned to come back for the Spanish-speaking crews later, but they never did. And since many of these guys were day laborers, paid in cash, once a little time passed, tracking them down became, in the police's own words, impossible.
For nearly 20 years, Jennifer's family has just refused to accept that. Their fight for the truth is incredible. They actually sued the Orlando Police Department.
They did, and not for money, but just to get the case files. All 16,000 pages of them. a fight that cost them over $500,000 of their own money.
That is staggering. All that sacrifice just to get the police to release the files.
But it worked, and that fight has finally paid off. In October of 2025, there's this huge update. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the FDLE, took over the case, and they informed the Kesse family
What?
that Jennifer's case is officially no longer cold.
Wow, after all this time. So what does that mean? What has a fresh set of eyes been able to do?
They've been able to use modern forensic techniques on all that old evidence from the files. And they've narrowed the list of persons of interest way down to just a few individuals.
Okay.
But the biggest breakthrough, the real game changer, is the physical evidence. The FDLE found DNA within evidence that had never been tested before.
Are you serious? So it was there the whole time?
It was there the whole time, a tiny, minuscule piece of trace DNA on some fabric from inside the car.
And they just missed it or ignored it.
Back in 2006, it was probably considered too small or too degraded to get a profile from. But with today's technology, it's viable. This one overlooked piece of evidence, which somehow survived the wipe down and all the contamination, is now the central hope for solving this case.
So what does this all mean then? You have a woman who vanishes perfectly. You have a crime scene of contradictions, a clean car interior, a violent struggle in the hood, a phantom figure who just walks away into total obscurity.
And after almost 2 decades of nothing but frustration and missteps, it's modern science, pushed forward entirely by her family's fight, that's finally closing in on those few individuals.
In this case, it had a lasting impact beyond just her family. Her disappearance, along with another case, Tiffany Sessions, led directly to the 2008 Jennifer Kesse and Tiffany Sessions Missing Persons Act.
It literally changed the law in Florida, expanding how they treat missing persons to include endangered adults up to age 25. Her tragedy created real, profound policy change.
It's a vital legacy, but that core mystery is still there.
Yeah, a methodical POI who cleans a car, but a violent, messy crime that leaves drag marks.
So let's leave you with a final thought to mull over. Given all this contradictory evidence, the cleanup, the struggle, the POI's calm exit, what's more likely? Was this a random act of opportunity by some professional criminal who just panicked during the abduction?
Boy, it's the methodical, planned execution by someone who knew her habits, knew her vulnerabilities, maybe someone she saw every single day at the Mosaic Complex. Which one of those scenarios is honestly more terrifying?
We thank you for diving deep with us today. If you have any information about Jennifer Kesse's disappearance, her family asks that you please visit the Find Jennifer Kesse's Facebook page. We'll see you next time.